The name Simulami comes from the Latin or solia simul, meaning together, and lamine, which is a flower petal. Showing the many colors of our nation, the current flag of the Simulami Empire consists of a horizontal tricolor. The bottom is black, the middle white, and the top dark cyan. It is really similar to the foundation flag in design, only more representative colors and more centralized coat of arms have changed. In the center, the shields with four separators are holding the helmets and aries with the monarchy crown on top. Olive branches reach around the shield with a progression symbol on the bottom. The color cyan represents wealth and well-being. The white represents loyalty and fidelity, whereas the black represents independence and sovereignty. The gold coat of arms means success and prestige. The shield represents justice that holds a nation together. The helmet with the feathers represents knighthood and lawful chivalrousness. The aries represents symmetry, equalness, and boldness. The olive branches shows the everlasting peace that embraces all. The progression symbol below represents both hard work and laziness. The crown on top represents the monarchy and the emperor, how they protect and reach out to their people. The Empire of Simulami, founded June 4th, 2021, is an autocratic monarchy led by an emperor, currently Xenohan, and is a constituent country within the Sapphire Commonwealth. It is located in north-central and northeastern Nadine continent. It borders the country of Isharia from the south, Emirate of Niger from the north, the Atordan Sea from the west, and the Osterium Sea to the east. The official languages are Florami and Krubuni. The empire was previously two neighboring nations, the Kingdom of Floramia and the Order of Muviel, before they merged together and became a major influence within the continent of Nadine, and globally on both Rathnir and Eldham. It was formerly a diarchy prior to a civil war occurring. Since the fall of Isharian and the Solinian Empire, the lands were long abandoned. Successor states were established and people rose from the ashes, while others migrated from distant lands. Floramia was the first to establish lands to the north and later progressed east until the Neho border was reached. All went well, but the spirits of the few ascended where unrest. Both countries had their own pagan beliefs or religious freedoms that were heathen and heretical in their glassy eyes. Countless raids took place on both countries to attempt to kick them out of the continent. Only Floramia remained on the brink of collapse. Their isolationist and opportunistic defensive beliefs come from these times. To the west, in the mountains of Kutenbad, settlers of a dissolving country bearing the name Wahat went east. They were all Krubuni and settled on the Maestro Peninsula in the ancient, now abandoned spiritual lands of Neho. The settlers founded the nation Kroban with its capital Saulat and took the faith Solianan, which the spirits followed. Kroban joined the Order of Muviel shortly afterward, which was initially a vassal, then a protectorate of the neighboring nation of Floramia. Muviel eventually declared itself as an independent state on May 3, 2021, raising tensions between it and Floramia. The tensions between the two countries were worsened by the border disputes that resulted from their mutual expansionist desires. Both wanted to acquire new lands in order to deal with overpopulation as well as expand their power and influence on a regional and international level. Eventually, on May 10th, the tensions between the two countries were settled following a meeting between their leaders Cadexi and Xenohan, which ended with Floramia exchanging some border territories to Muviel and establishment of a political and military alliance. At one point, Muviel attempted to purchase some land from Nidia, but this deal never went through, yet to this day, the offer remains open. In mid to late May, both nations pursued land claims on the southern territories of Niger, with Muviel annexing a sizable portion of Niger's Andamuka territory and calling it a district of Arubar. As part of its efforts to give its claim more legitimacy, Muviel began massive reconstruction and resettlement efforts of several abandoned towns in the territory. Both Floramia and Muviel were prepared to go to war to enforce and guarantee their claims. However, numerous world powers intervened and threatened to go to war on Niger's behalf, including Olderash, Bardonia, and Viodaxa. As a result, both nations retracted their claims. Muviel agreed to abandon the annexed territory with the Treaty of Kaharo, well aware that going to war with nations that at the time were considered superpowers was suicide. It was commonplace for the two heads of the nations, Cadexi and Xenohan, to meet and discuss regional and continental politics. After the Niger crisis, a joke about unification between the two started on May 28th. Xenohan eventually considered a genuine unification because it appeared that this was the only way to increase the influence and power of both nations. Following a discussion with the rest of Muviel, he proposed the idea to Cadexi. After several days of discussions and negotiating between both of them and the other high-ranking government officials, a constitution was drafted. On June 3, 2021, the Simulami Empire was born, with Cadexi and Xenohun as equal sovereigns ruling together, one nation with two capitals governed by an autocratic diarchy. After its founding, the nation sent expeditions under the Draco Simulami Voyager Mining Company to the newly discovered world of Eldam, where they established colonies. Settlers began to quickly arrive, where ultimately it would become one of the most successful colonial ventures of any Rathnirian nation. In fact, the nation would become more active in its colonies compared to the mainland on Rathnir. Simulami's relationships to the Solenian Church deteriorated as Xenohun was constantly criticized for not dissolving his own country and joining Asharia, as the church wanted all followers to be united under a single Solenian state. Eventually, in late July, it came to a breaking point. To keep Simulami from being influenced by the church's pan-Solenianism philosophy, Cadexi banned the Solenian church from the Floramian crownland, which rather spread into the whole nation shortly after. Xenohun declared the Solevial church a new branch of Solenian, which emphasizes non-Nadine identity, rejects the church's pan-Solenian ideology, and claims to return the old Solenian empire's faith before Asharia. At the same time, Cadexi embraced the Florilian faith, the ancient religion of the Florami people, and began spreading it among those in the crownland of Floramia. Immediately after this declaration, tensions between Simulami and Asharia escalated, with Asharia breaking its non-aggression pact, and the two nations began preparing for war. However, before any war could be declared, the sovereigns had an emergency meeting with the leader of Asharia, Herod. They stated their reasoning behind the schism, including the paranoia, the lack of public support, and the harassment. It quickly became apparent that Herod had a false perception of Xenohun and misunderstood his motivations, mistaking his actions as an attempt to gain power and influence on a national scale and within the church. After learning this, the threat of the war evaporated and the leaders became friends. In the wake of the Bardonian Spring and the declaration of war by many nations against Bardonia, Simulami voted as to whether to join the conflict. After an overwhelming majority of the citizens of the nation voted in favor of the war, Simulami joined the Third Rathnir coalition and declared war on Bardonia on July 26th. Initially, there were fears that Simulami would be forced into war with both Asharia and its vassal Arxela, since Asharia was allied with Bardonia in this war. Fortunately, Simulami's declaration of war was quickly followed by a neutral pact being made between Asharia, Arxela, and Simulami, ensuring that the continent of Nadine would not be the scene of any conflict. 16 Simulami soldiers fought in the Battle of New Durastrak as part of the secondary division which stormed the Senate building first. It was here that they were arguably the most successful and important division in the battle. This marked the first time that Simulami participated in any international conflict. As the Golden Age ended, tensions between Cadexi and Xenohun grew more and more as disagreements between the two kept occurring. Eventually, on September 2nd, things came to a head when Cadexi stated that he would be separating Floramia from the rest of Simulami, following an argument between the two leaders. While initially accepting this declaration, Xenohun, knowing that a large portion of the nation's population joined after the Unification, who saw themselves solely as Simulami, declared a coup d'etat against Cadexi. In the ensuing civil war, Xenohun would gain support of the vast majority of the nation's populace and allies. Cadexi fled Silva with his loyalists with only one sole defender who stood their ground. The soldier was the only death in the whole war. Consequently, Xenohun became sole emperor and declared the Second Simulami Empire. You can find out more information regarding the Simulami Civil War through a link in the description. On September 28th, after weeks of negotiations, Simulami, along with Najer and the Second Plagathia Empire, formed a confederation known as the Sapphire Commonwealth. You can find out more about the Sapphire Commonwealth through a link in the description. As for the culture, the Simulami Empire considers itself a multinational and multicultural nation, currently consisting of 2 major and 3 minor groups. One of the largest race populations are the Krobuni, who came from the Maestro Peninsula. They speak Krobuni. The other largest population of race are the Floramii, who are descendants from the Silva and Northern Ranges. They speak Floramii. Largest of the minorities are the Aquizan, who densely populate Aquiz in the center of the country. They speak Floramii. The second largest of the minorities are the faithful Draken, who are living inside the Draconian mountains and ancient Locket areas. They are a unique race speaking both Krobuni and Draconian. A small percentage of Krobuni consider themselves a descendants of Neho, a race that migrated to Plegos. They speak both Neho and Krobuni. The Simulami Empire and its races are influenced by the dark medieval European style of German and Eastern Slavic on its southern borders, and the revolutionary Victorian and Krobin in the northern borders. For a Simulami national, their culture means peace, large structures, and representation of nature. For a Krubuni, it is all about perseverance and religiousness. For Draconian, their holy sites and their places of worship are in their center. For Florami and Quizen, their largely populated sites of cities and crowded buildings are represented. The combined race and ongoing influence of Florami and Krubuni has become Simulami, mostly found on Eldam. These people are as rich in traditions as in culture. They are mostly friendly but cautious people with rhetorical capabilities. They are all faithful and respect the ancient land where they reside. For this reason, they protect and preserve places of worship that are ancient lost cultures and ruins. After the colonial expansion to the far northeast continent of Eldam, there has been a merge of many cultures and languages. The Florami and Krubuni races fuse into a hybrid race on what is now known as Simulami. These Simulami people who are currently living in the main colonial lands are the primary population of the empire in Eldam. They speak both Florami and Krubuni. Two minorities can be found here, the Draken colonizers that populate the western premises, and native Stormgoven that integrated their island nation into the empire to the east. The military structure of Simulami consists of two entities. The Imperial Grand Army is more strict with well-organized weekly training that has a brotherhood-like feel, while the Simulami Central Militia is for regular players to participate if they couldn't attend such times, but still want to be part of the military. The Imperial Grand Army is a unified military of the Simulami Empire across the two realms of Rathnir and Eldam. Active military members are required to attend regular training sessions each week. The sessions are held at different times of the day each week to accommodate the schedule of the soldiers, who often have responsibilities outside of the military. The Simulami Central Militia is composed mostly of localized, self-trained and untrained citizens who would still serve the country with arms and skill, but are not able to participate in the Imperial Grand Army due to personal reasons. The power structure of the Central Militia is feudal in nature, with individual forces controlled by local lords. Should the Central Militia be called into action while the Imperial Grand Army is present, the Imperial Grand Army would be the Central Militia's direct supervisor. The militia will be expected to engage in combat and are under command of the Emperor of the Simulami Empire. Religion is an important factor of the empire. The two state religions are Celevial and Farulian. On mainland Rathnir, close to 80% of the north have been baptized in the Farulian faith. To the south, which is more militaristic order, only Simulami nationals who have served the pantheon of Celevial are baptized and knighted. On Eldham, both can be found. Today, close to 95% of all nationals are following Celevial or Farulian, though religious freedom is allowed inside a few cities. Emperor Xenohun also serves as the Archbishop and Inquisitor inside the clergy. A regular Simulami national can choose to become part of a clergy and become a priest of Celevial or Farulian and the cleric of the empire. These individuals can choose to baptize others, tell prayers and tales, consecrate items, and help higher-ranking members of the clergy. They can choose to become missionaries, apostles, religious fighters, or pacifist individuals. They are loyal to the empire and the gods. A cleric of the Simulami Empire can rise in ranks both inside the nation and outside in the clergy of Celevial or Farulian. There are several internal ranks that can be read inside the constitution. There are currently two patriarchates within the empire. Patriarchates of Rathnir reside inside the Holy Lands close to the foundation of the Order of Muviel. The Fort Cathedral and Muviel both serves as a pilgrimage ground and site of worship. Nationals of the north saw high amounts of rage from spirits before they had converted with all their nobility. Now these lands show uttermost respect towards the faith. Colonial Patriarchate brought faith with themselves and the rest of the Simulami nationals to the new lands of Eldam. They instantly integrated the natives of the main colonial land to follow the Selenian faith, who were more willing to do so. Hey guys, I really do appreciate all of the love and support that you guys are giving me. I know I keep on saying that each video, but honestly I'm still blown away by all of the response that I'm getting for these videos. It is really making me enjoy what I do a whole lot more whenever I know that people are actually enjoying the content that I'm making. So thank you very, very much. I know that I did start out like this whole series based on like I'm going to be showing off my builds and everything. Well, that is still happening. Behind me, this is Gilderul. I'm not going to show it just quite yet, but I did show that in it was either my first or second video. But in the midst of creating all these videos, I'm still building. So expect other types of content to come out soon. I actually have about 7 or 8 videos lined up right now, and only maybe 3 of them, I believe, are more history videos. If you would like for me to cover your nation in a video, just reach out to me on Discord. I'll go ahead and put my Discord name down below, although if a lot of requests start coming in, I might have to start actually charging for it, because it pretty much does take up like a full weekend for me to do these, just because trying to get all the wikis in line, especially if maybe they weren't really well written, or if they're covered across multiple wikis, as well as just traveling and seeing all the different locations on the server, which typically I need someone to give me a tour because I don't have lands trusts anywhere. So that on its own also takes time, trying to basically connect with other people from other nations. But regardless, if you'd like to be featured, just let me know in the comments down below. If you are part of Simulami, or if you're part of Sapphire Commonwealth, or any nation at all, go ahead and comment down below. Let us know where you're coming from. Represent your nation proud, and I hope that you guys do enjoy this content that I'm trying to improve on a little bit. I'm trying to edit it a little bit better and include better content overall. But also, a huge thank you for the 500 subscribers. I am just blown away by you guys. I can't stop saying that, but thank you very, very much. And also, I have some new channel art coming. I might already have it by the time I upload this video, I don't know, but I'm trying to step my game up just a little bit and actually improve what I do. I can't talk right now, but again, I'm starting to ramble. Thank you all very, very much. Expect different types of videos to come out very soon, and continue to rep your nations down below in the comments down below. Thank you all so much. I look forward to talking to you guys again. All the links are down in the description as well, as far as the tools that I've utilized for this video, such as like the wiki pages and maps and things. So again, thank you all. Have a great day. Goodbye. The Empire of Salami. Salami. That was an honest mistake. That wasn't even a meme. Oh God.